Hello, Mom Means Business listeners. Thank you for tuning into your Mom Business meeting. I have a special guest, Liz Hanson, here with me today, and I am so excited for you to be here. Hi, Liz. Welcome.
Hey Jessica, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I am very excited. Liz, just give us like a elevator speech of what you do. What is your business?
So, I'm the owner and photographer at the Chicago Boudoir Photography Studio. If you haven't heard the word boudoir, it's just a fancy French word that means a woman's bedroom. What I do is take sensual, sexy photos of women in an empowering space to help them feel confident in their own skin.
Oh my gosh. Okay. My friends right now are laughing so hard because this is like totally up my alley. The way I am just like an open book and we'll talk about anything. This is like so perfect. So, hey, moms, you are beautiful and you should definitely do boudoir photos. What I'm also going to say in that same sentence, Liz, is I've never done boudoir photos.
Well, it's your turn. A lot of women don't do boudoir photos till they're, 40, 50. I say do it now. Don't wait. It's your time.
Don't wait. Yeah, okay. Well, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into this. But first, let's get into like our water cooler talk, team huddle. Like we're just gonna, have a chit chat. I do have a fun game for us to play later, but I'm just wondering if you have anything that's like been on your mind that you want to chat through.
Well, I'm a mom. I've got two kids. I've got a 15-year-old girl and a 17-year-old girl. And the only thing on my mind these days right now is college applications. We're
Oh my
doing
gosh.
college applications this summer. I feel like that's all we're talking about around the dinner table. But it's an exciting time of life, but somehow college has taken over my life.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my background is in higher education. I got my master's from Appalachian in higher education. And so I have young kids. I haven't been on the side of like the parent with the child going through college applications. I've only been on the other side of like the student who is at college and having an experience. And on that side, I will tell you like watching a student leave home for the first time, have to like make decisions. This sounds so silly, but like figure out when they're going to eat their dinner, figure out when they're going to do their laundry, figuring out that like they actually have to make time to clean up their room and, you know, walk to class or whatever it is they have to do is so it gives you this feeling of like success, right? Because you see them when they get to school figuring all this out. And then by the end of the semester, they are succeeding and smiling and so proud of themselves. And it's just really fulfilling from like a student affairs, like higher education mentor standpoint. So, but as a mom, I can imagine you're like, my baby's gonna leave me.
Well,
I
we hope
can't.
if everything goes well with the applications. I have to tell you, I spent a summer when I was 15 at Appalachian State University
Did
at a,
you?
yes, at a music camp playing the flute in the woods, and I
Oh
loved
my
it.
God. Yes. I mean, Appalachians are really great. It's a really great institution. It's a really great university. The level of care and concern that the staff has for students, despite how big it is just crazy how they can hone in on each student individually. But I think like, they also talk about I'm not sure who they is, but they talk about like how kids have this feeling when they walk on a campus to say like this is where I need to be for the next 4 years. And I will tell you, I had that feeling. So I went to NC State for undergrad, and I remember I walked on the campus and I thought to myself, this is where I need to be. This is my home. And so I don't know if you've toured campuses already, if your daughter has had that feeling, but I'm wondering what that's looked like. How have you felt as the mom?
Yeah, we've been on like 10 campus tours. I
Oh my
told
God.
we are like up to our eyeballs in campuses and in applications and everything. I have some ideas about where I want my daughter to go, but she's of
Yeah.
course going to make this decision herself and figure it out. It is interesting. I have gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't care how pretty the campus is. I don't care what you think about the dorms. We got to focus on the course load. We got to focus it's going to cost. I'm like, stop looking at the dorms. It doesn't matter. This is basically, you're going to be camping in a dorm. It's sort of like long-term camping, okay? Like, this is not your forever home, girlfriend. So it doesn't matter what the dorm looks like.
Oh God, that's so great. That is so great. Also prepare yourself because you're gonna be like the best moving crew ever for the next 4 years. The amount of times I moved in college, wow. Um, so it's funny, you're like, okay, here's the checklist. You need to worry about the course load, you need to worry about like what else is on your checklist versus hers.
I mean, it's so funny. We go on these campus tours, and she'd be like, "Oh, they have a Panda Express at the food court." Like, why? Yes, they do. Does that matter? She's like, "Well, I like Panda Express." It's just when you're 17,
Of
things
course.
there's some things that seem different to you than when you are 44-year-old mom, being like,
Yeah.
"This can be significantly more student debt." Um, they're all paid off later, and so we've been working a lot on kind of the practicalities of things.
Yeah.
She's gonna do great. She's a great kid. It is interesting, I think, to stop and be like, why are we entrusting teenagers with these kinds of decisions? A, do they know really what they want to do with their life?
No.
B, do they really understand the differences between these
No.
institutions? And I mean, she's 17, but I know this is what we do. This is what we all do. We all
Yeah.
expect our kids at age 18 to kind of launch and figure it out. And she'll do great. But right now, going on these tours with her and talking with her, it's just, to me, I'm like, why are we allowing teenagers to make these decisions?
It's really crazy. It's really crazy. Also, how we're just like, okay, go out into the world and figure it out.
Good luck.
Good
Yeah.
luck. You're gonna do great, babe. But like, then what happens if you don't do great? I mean, like, some kids don't do great, and then they have to go home, and that's a whole other situation, right? Because then they feel some type of way, and
There's always a plan B, right?
there's
I mean,
always a plan B.
a lot of things in our family and in our kids' lives hasn't gone according to quote unquote plan A, and that's okay. I've kind of learned to take things one semester at a time, one year at a time, one grade at a time, and be like, what's working for our family right now? We
Oh
don't
my
have to know what's
gosh.
going to work for our family in 4 years or 5 years. We don't have to get there yet. Let's just do what works for us right now this year, and we'll figure out next year.
The
If
way,
she goes to freshman year and bombs out, which I don't think
oh,
will happen, but if that did happen, you know what? She'd come home and we'd figure out sophomore year. We'd figure
yeah.
it out. There's always another way. There's always another option. There's not just one way to do things.
I mean, the way I'm resonating with everything you're saying right now, like you have a 15 and 17-year-old, and I have little like 10, 8, and 4. And the way I'm just even resonating with what you just said, like I always say, like, we're in a season of life, and like the seasons ebb and flow, and we figure out what works in that season, and what worked last season isn't going to work this season. And you have to like refigure out what this season needs from you. And when you say like, I get really stuck in plan A, so to hear you be like, you know what? It's fine. We'll just pivot, and plan B can be just as great as plan A, but we didn't know plan B existed until plan A failed. I, I need to just like take that in and remember that more, because I get really, really stuck in like, plan A will happen, and this is the way it's going to happen, and it doesn't need to be that way. So thank you for sharing that, because I needed to hear that.
And I wish our kid, at least my kids, got a little bit more of that messaging from the school. I mean, I know the school wants everyone to go off to college and succeed, but actually, there are a lot of other options for kiddos. There's trade schools, there's gap years, there's working, there's coming back to college when you're ready for it. There's the community college. So
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times, at least at the high school my kids are at, there's just this like intense focus on getting into a high powered school, which is great. It's going to be great for a lot of kids, but not for every single kid. So
Yeah.
I want to celebrate, I want to try to be one of those parents that celebrates kids who take lots of different paths.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm learning more and more like college isn't for everyone, and that's okay. Like people can make it in other ways and still be successful because there's not one way to measure success. So,
Yeah. And college, with technology and remote learning and AI, I think we're going to see a big shift in higher learning coming up. Not that I'm an expert in this, but the idea of sending someone to a campus to sit in a lecture hall and
I
learn
know.
is to me starting to feel like an outdated model.
Yeah, I agree. Um, my son, he's 8, and currently he never wants to leave home. Like he keeps telling me, like, I'm just gonna live with you and dad forever. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But I was like, so what are you gonna do? Like, were you gonna go to college? He's like, no, I'm just gonna teach myself at home on the computer. It was literally what he told me. And I was like, okay, well, that's a way to think about it. We have a lot of time to figure that out, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is he's 8, so in 10, think what could change in 10 years for him.
10 years. I
Think
know.
what has changed in the last 10 years. I mean, pre-pandemic, of course, like Zoom existed, but like, were we all on it? No. Pandemic
Mm,
happened, and now it's just video conferencing, video calls is just the norm, right? And so in 10 more years, there may be some interesting options available for your kids in 10 years, you know?
I mean, I'm excited to see about it. I think that my son could really benefit from whatever comes about. Also, maybe don't stay with mom and dad forever because I'm gonna need you to like go and do and be. See, this is like we are in very different phases of life, and so you're probably like, no, actually, stay with me, and I'm like, go, babe, go live. But I could very well flip flop by the time he's 18, and I'm like, no, just stay with me. Remember when you were 8 and you wanted to stay with me forever?
I found with like kid milestones is that they always seem really scary like a year or two before. So like I remember when my kids were 3 and 4 being like, I cannot send them to kindergarten. Like they won't even cope. But then by the time they turned 5 and it was time for them to go to kindergarten, I'm like, oh, this kiddo's ready for kindergarten. And off they went. They did great. And then like I remember when my kids were in 7th and 8th grade being like, these kids cannot go to high school. Like I remember what high school's like. These kiddos are not ready. But then when they were, got the summer before 9th grade, I'm like, no, actually, she's ready for high school. She can do this. So it always seems really scary, like before, but when
Mm-hmm.
then they get up to the milestone, they are ready and prepared for it. So right now, when my kid is a senior, like she's going into her senior year of high school, I'm like, she can't go to college. Like she is not ready for, like, are we even going to get into college? But then I think in a year from now, when we're packing up and heading, I'll be like, no, she's actually ready for this. I know that that's coming for her. It's just she
Yeah.
needs another year to prepare. And I've seen that over and over as my kids have reached various milestones, that like a year or two out, it seems impossible, but then they rise to the occasion and they're ready for it when the time actually comes. So I'm trying to remember that. Right now, it seems impossible that she'll actually fly the nest.
Yeah.
But in a year, I know I'll be thinking she's ready for this. It's time.
Liz, I you made me think of this, and I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it here on the podcast, but I say this a lot to my friends that like moms who have young kids need a mentor who have an like the next phase of kid. Like because hearing you say this, I'm just resonating with so many things you're saying. Like my daughter is about to go into 5th grade, and I'm like, oh my God, she is not ready. I'm not ready for 5th grade. She's not ready for 5th grade. How can we just, it's like considered middle school in our school. And so like I just am like they get a calendar, they switch classes, they have homework, and it's like all of a sudden I'm like, she's not ready for that. But I hear you. Like I think by August she's going to be ready. And we just need mentors in our life to be able to tell us these things as like a look back so that we can prepare our minds, because I feel like so many moms are just like in their own head or like in their own lane and not really talking about these sorts of things. And if you have small kids, you have friends with small kids, right?
I
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you because you stay with your cohort for when you have a newborn, you're with newborn moms and that. I'm really lucky. I have 2 older sisters and they
You
each
are
have 2
lucky.
kids. Yes. And their kids are not much, but they're like one step ahead of mine, right?
Yes.
So my oldest sister has two married kids and two kids in college. And then my next oldest sister has two kids in college and two kids still at home. And then I have two kids still at home, right? So I've
Yeah.
been able to watch them and exactly like what you're saying, have that mentor to say like, hey, the next stage is going to be okay. And here's how it went for me.
Yeah. Yeah, because even like navigating like the nuances of things of like, what to expect in terms of like I don't know, high school, like is there bullying? What do I do about that? How do I navigate that? Do I let my kid deal with it? Do I talk to the school? I don't know, how do you manage homework and after school activities? And I don't know. I don't even know what to ask because I don't know what's coming, right? But like if someone is has already gone through that, they can be like, "Hey, and these are the things you should think about." So, you are lucky with your two sisters. So they have four kids each?
They do.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I don't know. I feel like with my third, I was like, "All right, I'm taking one for the team here."
Yeah.
I can't imagine like taking two for the team, like two more above my two.
Moms with big families are superheroes.
They really are. They really are. Okay. Let's get into the. Oh, wait. No, actually, before we get in, I'm so excited to get into the fun stuff that, like, I totally forgot about a vibe check. So I want to get a vibe check. I also totally forgot about my game because that's literally how excited I am about talking. So maybe we'll save the game to the end. Um, okay. Let's get a vibe check. How are you feeling? What's your vibe these days?
My vibe is great. I am running my own business, which I love doing. I have 5 employees. I live in
Wow.
a suburb of Chicago, and spring has not sprung yet. It is almost June, and we're still like in the 40s and 50s, so I'm feeling cold.
Yikes. I'm really sorry about that. I am in North Carolina and it is currently sunny and probably, oh, what does my watch say? 75 degrees. So I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah.
You said,
Uh,
yeah, 57
57. Yeah. Tomorrow's
and
53.
windy and chilly. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
All
I'm
right.
so sorry
So what
about
we do
that.
here in Chicago.
It's what you do. That's right. That's right. Um, okay, so my vibe these days is I'm feeling very jealous and sad of all these people going to the Cowboy Carter um whatever concert series, I don't know, whatever, Beyonce concerts. And I made a financial decision to not go to a concert because the tickets were so expensive. It's like $1,000 a ticket. And I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna save that money. I'm gonna watch everyone else go to the concert and be really sad, but it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna live.
You know, I was really sad when everyone was going to the Taylor Swift Eras tour, and I had like a lot of FOMO. But then I went, you know how she did the concert in the movie theater?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it like got released into AMC, and I went and I
Yeah.
dressed up in a sparkly outfit, and I went to that AMC concert, and I was like, you know what? This was just as good in the movie theater, and I didn't have to wait in line, and I didn't have to stand in the sun and get dehydrated, and I got to rock out to the music, and I loved it. So now I feel good about my choice.
Yeah, hopefully something like that happens. I don't know. I'm just watching on Instagram all my friends go to Beyonce Cowboy Carter tour and I'm like, I want to go. I did message my friend. I was like, listen, if you get any tickets that are free, I she laughed so hard. Like, are you kidding me? Okay, you're funny. Anyway, that's my vibe. Now we're going to go into the fun stuff. All right, agenda items. I want to talk about this business of yours. So, give me the journey. So, when did you start your business? Actually, let's even get before that. Like, why did you start? What is okay? You started with boudoir. Give me why'd you start? Give me the beginning.
Okay, so I've always sort of been into photography, and I did it for a hobby for a long time. I was a stay-at-home mom for 7 years, and I took pictures of my babies, and I would take
Mhm.
pictures of friends, and sometimes took on a few clients, like I'd do some family photos, shot a few weddings, a few bar mitzvahs, some events, things like that. And then in 2015, I got a job at a photo studio, like as a receptionist, like answering the
Mhm.
phone and stuff. And at this studio, they did some boudoir. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is this? Boudoir? I've never heard of boudoir. People really pay to take sexy photos at a studio? But what I saw working there, I worked there for 3 years, is women would walk into the studio so nervous, so unsure, and then I'd see them walking out and they were confident and radiant. I was like,
Wow.
this boudoir thing is really interesting and fun. And so I worked there for 3 years, and then the owner of that studio relocated to Florida to get some better weather because Chicago doesn't have great weather. And when she did, I decided to open my own boudoir boutique. So
Mm-hmm.
I decided to open a studio that just specialized in boudoir. So I've been running that full time since 2018. And of course, boudoir is my business. That's,
Right.
I sell albums and this experience and the photos, but I have this broader mission to empower women in all areas of their lives and help them feel confident and comfortable in their own skin.
And how do you do that outside of photography? Or you don't? You're just saying boudoir is how I do that.
So I do. There's a couple of ways that I try to reach this mission. The first is I have a Facebook group that I started. There's 10,000 local Chicago women in this group now.
Wow.
And the purpose of that group is to build an empowering community. So I show up every morning and ask a thought-provoking question in that group,
Mm-hmm.
and it sparks conversation about careers, relationships, child rearing, and how women can find and use their voices. So I love that group and what it has done to help build this community. From that Facebook group, I've also been able to meet a lot of people IRL, as the kids say, in real life, online
Yes.
community. I've also been able to meet a lot of people in real life, and so I have events a couple times a year where I meet people, and then recently I also launched a podcast with this same mission to empower women. It's called Live with Liz.
Awesome. I love that. Given that I'm also doing a podcast for a similar mission focused with moms, so I can appreciate that so much. Let's talk a little bit about how, like, you started this business when your kids were young. So, like, what was that like? How did you manage that?
It's not easy being a business owner and a mom. Like, let's be
Mhm.
real.
Right.
When I was working for the studio before I opened my own business, that was part-time and I worked while the kids were in school, and that felt
Mhm.
very manageable to me. When I decided to open up my own studio, my husband and I sat down and I literally was like, all right, we got to change some stuff around here because this is going to take a lot more bandwidth than a part-time job working for someone else.
Mhm.
What is our life going to look like? Because I'm going to need something to change to make this happen. So my husband had a full-time job and a salary and benefits, so that was great. So we were relying on him. So the first like 18 months that I ran my studio, it actually didn't make any money. Well, let me be clear. I brought in money, but I wasn't able to pay myself because
Uh-huh.
all of the money that I brought in, I had to use to keep the studio running. So the
Mhm.
only way I was able to make that work was the fact that I was married to someone who had a salary. And so,
Yeah.
so that was a big benefit for me. But so we sat down at the kitchen table and I was like, what's going to change? I said, I've been doing basically all the stay-at-home mom stuff while I've been working part-time, doing all the running around, all the cooking, all the cleaning. Because that was sort of when I was a stay-at-home mom, I kind of felt like, hey, if I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom, I'm going to do all the housework and the childcare. Like that was just sort of our understanding. But
Mhm.
when I said, I'm going to open up the studio, like something's going to have to change. And I said to my husband, I need you to think of like one thing that you're just going to take over and own, and I'm not going to have to think about anymore. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
what that's going to be, like laundry, or is it going to be like the kids' sports activities? But and he he said, you know what? I will do all the grocery shopping and cook dinner.
Wow.
And I was like,
Volunteer.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
Like, great. And so actually since 2018, I've not gone grocery shopping or cooked dinner one time.
And
I
you are
completely
free of that and it feels good?
I love it. I mean, I'm not a person that loves to cook or
Oh,
shop,
okay.
so for
Okay.
me, that was like great. Yeah, that
Yeah.
works for us entirely. And so he's just taken that on, took that off my plate. And besides that, we have a pretty good 50-50 split on things. But, I have to say, there were always some hard things when I first started. I missed some of my kids' school activities and plays and
Yeah.
things. There's some sacrifices, but in the end, I do feel like I found a balance that feels good for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, some themes that have come out of this is like you have to have a business meeting with your partner for your business, right? Like, especially when there's like a shift in the family dynamic in terms of like someone's going to be, going out of the house now to start working. Like, you have to have the support at home in order to be able to do what you want to do. And at home, I'm being very general because it doesn't necessarily have to be a partner. It like also has to be the kids, right? Like they have to know like mom is working and she is out there doing the things, and that's okay. So I just love how you were like, listen, we just sat down and it was like, hey, things are going to shift. It was like a business meeting. You literally had a business meeting for your business to be successful. Um,
Yeah, you have to understand the labor that goes involved in, so like, of course, there's the labor involved with running my business, but there's the labor involved with running the house too. And like you said,
mm,
there's me doing some of that labor, there's my husband doing some of that labor, and my kids doing some of that labor. But you need to view it as labor.
yeah,
And it's unpaid labor, of course, but like someone has to do it. Are we going to pay someone to clean our house? Or are we going to clean our house ourselves? Are we
right.
going to pay a handyman to come over and do stuff? Or are we going to do it ourselves? Are we going to pay landscapers to come mow the lawn? Or are we going to do it ourselves? Like someone has to do this, and we have to figure out who is going to do it and when. And if you don't have those really specific conversations, you can end up with a lot of conflict because there's just unspoken expectations.
Right. And back to our earlier conversation, like just because you decide it now doesn't mean forever and ever, amen. That's how it has to be, right? Like it can be like this way for a season and then you can reevaluate and you can change. Like it doesn't have to remain. I mean, it's great that your husband has been cooking and grocery shopping for since 2018, but it doesn't
Yeah,
always have to be
open
that way.
to a renegotiation at any point, right?
Right.
So, for example, we will be empty nesters in 3 years, assuming my children go to college and launch, right? Because I have a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. So in 3 years, we'll have probably another renegotiation about what does this look like? Are we going to downsize to a smaller house? Are we going to get rid of not need a house with a yard? Are we going to change how many hours we're working or what our financial needs are? We're going to have
Yeah.
to renegotiate that again in 3 years. So I absolutely agree. You have to check in because each season is different. It has a different
Yeah.
amount of workload. The labor's different, different needs. Your budget's going to shift, all those things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get to your back to your business. So you have a studio in Chicago.
Yeah, so I have a commercial studio. I don't shoot out of my house. I have a storefront.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually in the suburbs of Chicago, but we call it Chicago Land, big
That's great.
Chicago area.
Okay, okay. And you said you have 5 employees. At what point, like, tell me the milestones in which you decided, like, oh, I need extra help. Like, and when did that happen?
So let me tell you a little bit about how things go at my studio. So when someone comes to have a boudoir photo shoot, my goal is for them to feel like the queen of the day. And
Mm.
I reserve the entire studio and our staff for them for the day. So I only take one person, one client in my studio per day. And that means that they really get a personalized special experience. So when you come to my studio, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get your hair and makeup professionally done. So I have
Uh,
a beauty team for that. So I'm not a trained professional hair and makeup artist. So I hired a beauty team. So that
mhm.
means false lashes, airbrush, get your hair done so that you are camera ready for your photo shoot.
Hmm.
And then you come into the studio. I tell you exactly what to do and how to pose. You don't have to know how to do this. You don't have to practice in front of a mirror. I'm going to make you look great no matter what. I'm going to use my studio lights and everything to make you look great. And then right after we take the pictures, before you even leave the studio, I do a same day photo reveal. That means you get to see your pictures right then and there. It's because I love instant gratification. Um,
Hmm.
if you've ever gotten family photos and waited 6 weeks to get them back, you know what a drag that is. I like to show people
Yes.
photos right away. But also, there's another deeper reason behind the same day photo reveal, which is that I want women to see themselves without a filter, without Photoshop, and know how gorgeous and fabulous they are just as they are.
Yeah.
When you see the
You're gonna make
pictures,
me cry. This is so beautiful.
So you see the pictures right then and there. There's this moment like, is that really me? I can't believe it. That's me and I love it. I love that photo and it's not even photoshopped yet. Now, listen, of course, if you want, something photoshopped out, some acne removed, whatever, I will do that after the fact, but I want you to have that moment where you saw your pictures without any Photoshop first.
Hmm.
And so okay, back to employees. So I have always had a beauty team. Those were the first people I hired. And then a few years in, I hired some to help me with some of the back end stuff. So
Yeah.
when I'm at the studio taking pictures, for example, I can't answer the phone at the same
Hmm.
time. So I hired a studio manager who answers the phone, takes bookings, ships out albums while I'm at the studio taking the pictures.
Yeah. So how far out are you booked now? Like if I wanted to call and schedule, am I like into August?
So I always tell people sometimes we have last minute openings. You should always call and ask. Like I could actually get
Right.
you on Monday if you wanted to because we had someone cancel. Um,
Interesting.
I work since I do the same day reveal. I'm not backed up with like 8 weeks of
Editing.
editing or
Yeah.
anything like that. So I tell people always call. I might have a last minute opening, but I do tell people to try and plan at least 2 to 4 weeks in advance. If you have
Hmm.
a anniversary or a birthday or something where you have a deadline that you need the pictures ready by, give yourself 2 to 4 weeks if you can, especially around the holidays. Our busy times are, of course, Valentine's Day,
Mm.
spring and summer anniversaries, and then the winter Christmas holidays.
Yeah. So I had a friend who did boudoir photos, and let me tell you, this friend, she's probably listening. Actually, she doesn't listen because she's not a podcast person, so it's fine. Um, she is a very open person, and usually will tell me, her friends, what she's doing. Well, she never said she was getting boudoir pictures. And she comes in at the time we were working in offices, and she comes into my office and she's like, look what I did. And she puts the album on my desk. And I'm like, you did what? She, like, never in a million years would I have been like, oh, this is the friend that's going to get boudoir pictures. And, but she did. And Liz, they looked beautiful. I mean, I think she's a beautiful person anyway, but like they looked beautiful. She was so proud. She came and literally like threw it on my desk, like, oh, look what I did. Like in a confident way of like, look who I am. Um, anyway, I was just so proud of her. And so when you speak of this confidence that like these women leave with, I know what that looks like because I felt that from my friend. Um, and
I love that story, and I love that she kept it a secret. Here's why. The fact that she kept it a secret until it was done meant that she was doing it for her. She didn't have
mm,
it to prove it to you. She didn't have to prove it to anyone else. Like she was doing this for her. Of course, when she saw the album, she wanted to show it off, but I
right.
think she would have done it and been like had she taken it to her grave, it would have
Yeah.
just been a self-care, self-confidence moment just for her.
Yeah.
And that's what boudoir can be. And I love that story and I love her attitude. And of course, the album was gorgeous. We're going to make you look gorgeous no matter what.
Right. Okay. So, but like her outfits, my first question was like, did you pick these out? Because like, I just, I'm imagining myself, like, I would never be able to go pick out what I would wear in a boudoir. So, are you doing that too?
Yeah, so we're with you from start to finish. When you book your shoot, I'm going to send you a guide of wardrobe items, even an Amazon shopping list that you can pick from. If you don't want to bring any of your own outfits, just show up at the studio and I've got stuff that you can wear at my place too. So
Hmm.
I've got shoes and robes and jewelry. And listen, if you don't want to wear anything at all, we'll do a full nude shoot. I can do a whole shoot with just roses and rose petals and bed sheets. That's great too. You don't even have to buy anything.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. I am literally considering this. Also, if someone is like, "Oh my God, I would never do that." What would you say to them?
I'm not here to convince anyone to do boudoir that doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm here to help people who are kind of intrigued. Maybe it's on their bucket list. Maybe they've thought of it and they're just too scared or too nervous to think about it. So, for sure, there's a whole group of people, and I've met a lot of them who are like, I would never do that. And what you're doing is evil. And like, please stop.
Mm.
My job is not to convince them that what I'm doing is interesting or valuable. But people like you who are like, wait, what? Maybe would this be me? Here's what I have to say. First off, you are worthy, valuable, and beautiful just as you are today, and you deserve to be photographed and documented and to come for this sensual self-care experience. You deserve it. And especially as moms, we so often put ourselves last. We're always the
Mm.
one taking pictures of our kids, but we're not in the pictures. We're always the one running other people around, but we're not taking care of ourselves. So if this interests you, if you're feeling this, I want you to first know that you deserve it and you can splurge on yourself and it's okay.
Yeah.
Number two, I would tell you, you don't have to have any special skills. You can be super awkward and I will make you look great. You can have never done this before. You can not know how to shop for lingerie and I'll just take care of you from start to finish. Your job is not to figure this out. That's what I do. And I'm really
Yeah.
good at it. I've photographed more than 2,000 women and
Wow.
I can make even super shy, super awkward people look great. And here's the reason why. I offer 100% money back happiness guarantee with the pictures. So do you remember how I told you that we do that same day reveal?
Yeah. Hmm.
You don't actually pay for anything till you come into the studio and see the photos. And if you like the
Hmm.
photos, you can buy them. If you don't like them, you don't have to buy them. You're under no obligation. So this is a very no risk experience for you to come in and try this. I'm so confident that I can create beautiful photos that you will want to purchase, that I want to have you in the studio. But if for some reason you don't love them, just walk away. No big deal. You haven't lost anything except for an afternoon.
Of pampering, honestly.
Right? So there's just, so that's, I guess that's what I would say to someone who's nervous. Number one, you deserve it. And number two, there's really no risk. And I will help you every step of the way.
I mean, you're kind of selling me, so that's
We'd love
feels
to
really
have you.
great. Um, I had a question and I forgot. Oh, so okay, let me go back a little bit because you were like, okay, for the first 18 months, I didn't even make money to pay myself. So like at what point did you make money to pay yourself and how did you figure out the business model that worked best for your business?
So when I first opened my business, I rented a commercial studio and I started my business, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I
Hmm.
don't have a background in business. I was a stay-at-home mom and a teacher beforehand. I'd worked at the studio, so I kind of thought I knew what I was doing, but I did not really know what I was doing. So I made a lot of mistakes. It was a lot of trial and error. When I opened my business, I took out a loan to
Hmm.
start. So that was one of the things is I had to pay back that loan before I could pay myself as well. So I it was mostly trial and error for the first few months. One thing that I did that really helped me accelerate my business growth was I paid to join a mastermind. So on the internet,
Oh,
I found a group of photographers run by a coach who was, they were all had the same goal of growing a profitable boudoir studio. And even though it was really expensive to join and I
yeah.
didn't really have the money, I remember I put the money, the membership on a credit card and just being like, I don't really have this money, but I think these people might be able to help me. It was so valuable for me. Not only, of course, the coach was helpful and the coursework that she presented was helpful, but what was really helpful was that I found a community.
Yeah.
I found a group of other people, other women who were also starting and running boudoir businesses and hearing their struggles and their problems and their successes and how they thought through things and ideas they had was so important and valuable to me. And I think
Hmm.
that's true for anything you're doing. Finding your village, finding a community, even if it's online, like I never met most of these people in real life, right? It was just online, but that made all the difference in taking my business from ground zero to profitability.
Wow. Okay. So you're saying you joined this community and it was like you finally had people to like connect with who could like understand where you were in your business growth and that helped you along the way. Um that's what you were
Yeah,
saying.
and
Yeah.
I mean, people would post, "Hey, I'm doing this marketing idea," and I would think, "I can do that too." You know, it was
Yeah.
just There was the support come, and I'd say, "Hey, I just had this problem at my studio. What did you guys do about it?" And they say, "Oh yeah, that's happened to me before. Here's what I did."
Oh my
Um, I've
gosh,
just
how
learned,
wonderful.
yeah, and I've learned that there's a community out there for almost anything that you want to do. So, if you want to start a garden, I promise you, there's some gardening community out there you can join. You want to
It's
learn how
true.
to crochet, there's like the internet, Zoom, like Reddit, like
Yeah.
YouTube, like there are just people out there now that you can connect with, and that to me is just like one of the most important things that you can do to figure out how to find and start a business.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talk a lot about community here at Mom Means Business, and it is so important. Just it's important for moms. I think there's different levels of community, and I'm only just now like thinking about this, so stick with me here. But like a community for moms, and then a community for your specific niche in your business. Even like a community for women in business is so important because like you said, number one, it's hard to do it alone. You don't know what you don't know. And so when you have a community, you can lean on each other and you can learn. And that's what this is about, right? Like you're like, I was a teacher and a stay-at-home mom. What the heck did I know? But I knew I wanted to do this. You know what I mean? And we need people who can A, answer our questions, and B, lift us up when we're like, what the heck are we doing? um, so I love that you talked about that you talked about community. I'm wondering what your daughters think about this. Like, are they like, what did they say? Like, Mom, what the heck? What do
Yeah,
they?
people ask me, I mean, frequently people are like, "Do your girls know what you do for work?" Like, they want to know if I've shared the secret. And here's the thing. This has been my full-time job for 10 years. Of course, my
It,
girls know what I do.
absolutely.
Course, if I thought I was doing something that was immoral or wrong that I couldn't share with my family, I wouldn't do it, right? So
Hmm.
I know that what I do is a little bit taboo, right? Like nudity and female bodies and sensuality is a little bit taboo. There are people who,
But Liz, I want to stop you there because it's taboo in the US. Because in Europe, the female body is like just, it's so beautiful that even on commercials, like hair washing shampoo commercials, they're naked on the TV.
it's so true. So true. Yeah, but for sure, I have people who are a little bit squeamish about what I do here,
For sure.
officially.
Yeah.
And so I understand. And of course, also what I do is not for children. It's not for minors, right? So,
Right,
and
right,
I do not shoot anyone in my studio that's under 18. And of course, my children are minors. So there is,
right.
I understand. Now, I never share my client photos with my children or my family. Those, of course, are private, and privacy is 100% important to me at the studio.
Mhm.
But what I do, my mission to help women feel empowered and confident in their own skin, I want my girls to hear all about that. So, I want
Absolutely.
right, what I'm trying to do is raise confident teenage girls who, have a voice and use it. So, that part of my business, of course, I am sharing with my daughters all the time.
Yeah. I mean, the mission and purpose behind what you are doing is so beautiful that like I think you would be doing your daughters a disservice by not sharing that. So kudos, because I think that's really
I
wonderful.
will also say teenage girls are not particularly interested in what their mom's doing all day. I mean, it is there.
Well, duh, yeah,
My
that's true.
teenage girls come on and want to tell me all about their day, but what I'm doing is less interesting to them.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair. That's fair.
um,
I do want to talk a little bit about like the privacy side of photos. Like I've always thought about this, like, okay, so now someone has these pictures. Like, what do you tell your clients about privacy?
it's a great question, and privacy is very, very important to me and what I do. So, we guarantee that what you say and do in the pictures that we take in the studio will remain 100% private. And we have everything in place to ensure that password protected galleries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the same day reveal means the pictures never even have to leave the studio if you don't want them to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the same time, if you go to my website or to my Instagram or to my YouTube, you're going to see a ton of photos and people talking about their experience. That's because a lot of people come to my studio and they want to share their photos. So I always ask people, are you on team privacy or are you on team share? And
That's
the people
great.
who are on Team Share, they want me to put them on their Instagram. They want to be on my YouTube, right? So I always ask you which team you're on, and if you see a photo on my website or on my
Hmm.
Instagram, I have the explicit signed permission of the woman who's in the picture to be shown and shared. So you can rest assured that if you come to the studio and you don't want anyone else to see your photos, no one will. But if you want me to show you off and talk about how fabulous you are, I will post you on my Instagram.
I would love to see the data of like you ask the person before the pictures, like, are you team privacy or are you team share? And then after when they leave, like, okay, but now are you team privacy or are you team share? Like, I would love to see that data.
Well, I can tell you. So I don't ask people before they come in to share if I can share their pictures because the answer is almost always be no. So I just don't
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
But when I take the photos and ask after the photo shoot, I have about a 60% share and 40% private.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. 60% share. I mean, I just go back to my friend who was like, look what I did, like throwing the album on my desk. Like, so, I mean, I am surprised, but I should not be.
Well, and listen, sometimes in the photo shoot, they don't share every single picture that I take, but they'll say, "Hey, you can share all the pictures except for the full nude ones."
Oh,
Or
okay,
something like
sure.
that, right? So
Yeah.
there's always, in my opinion, there's always at least a couple pictures that I take that you'd be willing to share. I
Yeah.
mean, not every single person, but because not every picture is full nude, not every picture shows your face, and not every
Mhm.
picture is like I do a range. Like some pictures are going to be a little more covered than others. So there's, in my opinion, for most women, 90% of women, there's at least a couple pictures from the shoot that you're willing to share.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Um, I was just remembering my aunt did this, and I remember being a kid and I walked into her room and she had these pictures on the wall in her room. And as a kid, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I think I actually said to her, you look so beautiful here. So, we often, I think, as a society say, like, oh, this is taboo and we should not do this because this is a learned thing. Like, this is a learned societal um, norm, right? And so, um, kids don't know that yet. And so they're very innocent in, like, well, oh, my aunt just looks really beautiful in this picture. So, anyway, I think that just maybe even like being open to it a little bit in terms of like it doesn't have to be taboo. It can very much be this beautiful artistry and a confidence builder for you because you deserve that and why not? I mean,
Yeah, women are fighting a lot of forces. So there's the idea, first off, that your body shouldn't be shown. There's also the idea that it's like vain, like, oh, I
mm,
shouldn't have a beautiful photo of myself because that's like I'm being, there's some kind of like vanity thing going on there.
right.
Then there's the idea that women should always give to others and not do anything for themselves. So I
Right.
actually I gave a whole TEDx talk on why I think we should overcome some of this and why I think women deserve to celebrate their bodies and their relationships. And I had to overcome a lot of this myself. So you know, I had grown up with some of that socialization as well, that my body, there's something wrong with it and that I should play small and running a boudoir studio has helped me in my own personal growth and my own
Mhm.
journey as well.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think we're always battling something, right? Like some type of like something's wrong with my body, I'm not doing enough, I need to do more, I need to work out, or I shouldn't eat that, or, I don't look good, or I have had 4 kids, and what is this body I'm in? So I just would say, like, consider the gift to yourself of boudoir. And I'm speaking to myself too, Liz, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, that was so wonderful. I want to go into industry intel to see if there's anything in like current events and news that is affecting your business in any way.
The big thing right now that all photographers are talking about, at least in my circles, is AI, right? So
Oh.
there's the idea that you could upload a iPhone selfie of yourself to AI and say, hey, make this look like a boudoir photo, and then there you go, right? I mean, photography has always, well, I shouldn't say always, but for a long time, it's like, well, photographers are going to go out of business now that digital photography is available when we went from film to digital, right?
Right.
And then when everyone got an iPhone, it's like, well, professional photographers can be out of business because everyone's just going to use their iPhone, right? And now with AI, it's like, well, professional photographers are going to go out of business because we have AI to replace us. And I think, of course, there is some truth to that. Like every time there's a big new technology out there, it changes the industry. I'm sure there were a lot of film photographers who did go out of business when digital got introduced. I'm sure there
Right.
were some photographers that went out of business when iPhones got introduced. But it's an evolving thing, and I think in some ways boudoir is going to become bigger in the AI era because people are
Hmm.
going to crave a real embodied experience. Like
Hmm.
we're on screens all day. We're up to our eyeballs in social media and technology.
Yep.
A lot of people want to put their phone down and go have an experience, right?
Yeah.
And boudoir can be that for you. Get your hair and makeup done. Go feel something. Go do something. Spend the day at the studio and get off your screen, right? So while AI and digital technologies will change the industry, I don't think it's going to ruin the industry.
Yeah, what a good point. Like, I keep saying like AI is great and we can utilize AI, but the human element to life and experiences will remain. Like, we learned during the pandemic that we need human interaction. Like, we need that connection to people, to other people. And we crave experiences. Like, people were going crazy because they couldn't leave their homes to have experiences. And it's exactly what you're saying. Like, yeah, we have AI, and sure, can I put a picture in and be like, make this a boudoir photo of me, But is it like really me? And do I want to put that on my wall? Or do I want to remember myself as an AI, like a photo with AI? Or do I want to go have a real experience that I can remember forever and have the photos that are really truly me, right? So
Yeah,
I hear
exactly.
you.
You go to a boudoir photo shoot, you will never forget that. Like you will remember for the rest of your life that you did that. That's something that you're going to remember. It's not just like, oh, another day at work,
Yeah.
and so it's going to kind of put a pin in it, like as this memory for you. And that's something AI can never do.
Right. Because you're not going to remember typing in the chat GPT, like, create a photo of me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, Liz, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate the work that you're doing in just building the confidence of women, of moms, of, people. I'm just going to say people because this, with what you're doing, the work isn't just with the woman, it trickles out into her world. And so you're doing good work, and I appreciate that so, so, so much. But tell me, if someone wants to book a boudoir session with you, how can they do that? What do they do? How do they make that happen?
The best way to get a hold of me is to go to my website, which is chicagoboudoir.com. Boudoir can be a tricky word to spell. It's boudoir.com. So if you go to chicagoboudoir.com, you can join my Facebook group where that Empowered Women Facebook group. I've got a free ebook. You can fill out a form and drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. That's so great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to Mom Means Business. This is a wrap on your mom business meeting. If you want to reach out, you can find us at Mom Means Business Podcast on Instagram and reach out at mommeansbusinesspodcast@gmail.com if you want to have a quick chat with me. I'd be glad to chat. Thank you so much for tuning in.